PhD to that, and let's have a graduate student attendance.
And that's Dr. Arthur Engelhardt, who was, I believe, a 1955 PhD graduate of our department. Exactly. He's the one that the office he was being named in. Anything else? Well, our speaker today is Anam Moosa. Anam is a PhD candidate at University of Agriculture Faisalabad, which is the top agricultural sciences university in Pakistan, and she's been here for almost 6 months now on leave that she'll, internship that she'll explain. And her title today is Molecular Characterization of Post-Harvest Fungi Associated with Citrus.
Hello everyone. As Dr. Gleason has already introduced me, I'm a visiting scholar at Iowa State University, and I'm working in Dr. Mike Gleason's lab from last 6 months. I came here as a visiting scholar in March 2018 under International Research Support Initiative Program that is funded and supported by Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. We abbreviate it as HEC. HEC is an organization that is working in Pakistan for the betterment of education sector. It is providing an opportunity to every PhD candidate so that they can go in any of the top 200 universities of the world and they can have research, 6 months of research experience in those universities. So when I came to know about this opportunity, I was really excited because for me, it was a chance. I always wanted to go to the US because I was always wondering why the US is leading the world, what kind of academia they have, and what kind of research they are doing, why they are leading the world. So then I found that it's a chance for me, and for us to avail this opportunity, we needed to have an invitation letter from any of the top 200 universities, and I targeted only US. And I sent emails, a lot of professors from different universities, agriculture universities specifically, because I'm doing my research in agriculture. So I'm thankful to Dr. Gleason. I sent him an email and he sent me an invitation, and I got this chance to avail this opportunity and to come here and work at Iowa State University. I would like to share with you a very pretty picture of my university. It's already my university of Agriculture Faisalabad. I'm doing PhD there. So it's one of the oldest buildings of the campus. It can give you an idea what kind of architecture looks like in the campus. So University of Agriculture Faisalabad is a very pretty and green campus, and it's one of the largest and most famous agriculture university in the country. For today's presentation, I'll cover the following aspects. I'll give you an introduction how agriculture works in Pakistan, and I'll also talk about citrus production in Pakistan, and I'll discuss different kind of post-harvest diseases that are threatening citrus production in the country. And I'll also share the work that I have done at Iowa State University and the work that I have done at University of Agriculture Faisalabad. And I'll discuss with objectives and results of my research. First, I'll talk about how agriculture is really important in Pakistan. Agriculture holds a very vital importance in the country because we call it as backbone of nation's economy. Why we call it as backbone of nation's economy? It is contributing 20% total share in gross domestic production, and it is providing a source of employment to 42.3% of the total labor. That is a very big figure. So in these pictures you can see a lot of people are getting an opportunity to work as a labor, and these pictures are all showing different kind of labor because we are less dependent on machines. We are more dependent on labor that is given by the people. It is also contributing 49% of the total industrial raw material with 67% of total export earning. We are growing different kind of crops, almost all kinds of crops in the country. What makes Pakistan so favorable for agriculture? We are so blessed with 4 seasons that has made it possible to grow almost all kinds of crops, or either it's vegetables, fruits, cereal crops, field crops, or all other kinds of agriculture crops. So that's why we are so blessed and we have a very good agriculture system in the country. I'd like to share a map that is showing different shaded areas representing the major crops that are being grown in the country. The total area of Pakistan is 79.6 million hectares, and out of those 79.6 million hectares, 23.7 million hectares are used for the purpose of agriculture. In this map, the brown areas are representing the area under cultivation of wheat. That is the first most important agriculture crop in Pakistan. And the green area, light green areas are representing the area under the cultivation of rice. And we have also cotton, that is the second most important crop in the country. So these three are the most, you can say the largest and the most important crops in the country, and we are growing it very widely. If you look at the map on the top left corner, as US have states, we don't have states, we have provinces. So we have 4 different provinces that are Punjab, Balochistan, Sindh, and KPK. We call it as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And if you look at the Punjab is a province that is very famous for in terms of agriculture production. So we also call it as the food basket of Pakistan. Why we call it as the food basket of Pakistan? Because we are growing 97% of the total rice, 95% of total citrus, 83% of cotton, and 80% of wheat in Punjab. I would like to highlight a fact here that because I'm working with citrus, and I would like to tell you that 95% of the total citrus is grown in Punjab. Now I'd like to share the importance of citrus in Pakistan. Citrus is the first most important or the largest fruit crop of Pakistan, and we are growing it on an area of 206,569 hectares with a production of 2.36 million tons. And in 2017, we have exported 307,000 tons of citrus to the world. And we are also the 12th largest citrus producers in the world. So here are the different citrus cultivars or groups that we are growing in the country. The most important one of them is Kinnow mandarin. Kinnow mandarin, the 80% of total citrus production in Pakistan is of Kinnow mandarin. So it's really important in the country. We are also growing lemons, limes, grapefruit, and mosambi that comes in citrus limata. I would like to ask a question here. Has any one of you have ever heard of Kinnow mandarin or have tasted it? Any of you? Okay. So for us, it's really important because 80% of citrus production is Kinnow mandarin. It's very delicious in taste and it's very easy to peel and it's very widely liked among the consumers in Pakistan. So this can tell you how important Kinnow mandarin is in Pakistan. Why post-harvest studies are really important? I'm working on post-harvest diseases of citrus. So why I took this project, why it was really important. Post-harvest studies has always been a neglected area of research. They are paying more attention to pre-harvest diseases. But post-harvest diseases, either it's of vegetables or fruits, they have always been neglected. They didn't pay enough attention, and we have been facing a lot of export loss, production loss because of mishandling in practices, improper storage, and there's also lack of information about what kind of fungi, bacteria, or other pathogens are prevailing in the storage houses, and we don't have enough management practices to avoid those losses. So here are some pictures that are showing that what kind of pathogenic threats are threatening the production of some species, blue mold and green mold caused by Penicillium, Italicum, and Digitatum. And there is also brown spot that is caused by Alternaria species. Now coming towards the objectives of my research. The first objective of my research was to determine the prevalence of post-harvest fungi during storage of citrus crops. To achieve this objective, we have targeted Punjab, and we conducted a survey of 3 important citrus growing regions of Punjab. Just to remind you, as I have already told you, that 95% of the total citrus is grown in Punjab. So for that reason, we selected 3 different cities. The first one is Sargodha. Sargodha is extremely important because it's producing very high quality of Kinnow mandarin. The second one is Multan, and the third one is Faisalabad. So we went to different storage houses and packaging industries. We talked to the labor personnel and the owners of those industries about what kind of problems they are facing, how much is the extent of loss, and what kind of factors are actually prevailing or causing them the export loss in their industries or storage houses. And we collected the data about it and also collected infected samples just to isolate the pathogens and check the magnitude of what kind of pathogens are prevailing. So I would like to share pictures of Matila and Roshan factories. Matila and Roshan factories are 2 most important citrus packaging industries that are working in Sargodha city, and they are exporting a very huge amount of Kinnow mandarin to the world. So on the top left corner, you can see these are the pictures of Matila factory, and on the top right corner, the pictures were taken from Roshan factory. On the top left corner, there is a basket that is full of Kinnow mandarins. So this is how it looks like when they just let it go through all the packaging practices, and then it comes to the final package, and it looks like this. It's very pretty. It looks like very pretty. We have seen it in the industry, all practices that are they doing, and it's a storage house of Matila factory on the top right corner. And the alarming situation is that every year they're discarding a very huge amount of the fruits because of different kind of factors that are reducing the market quality of the citrus. And in the 2 pictures that are on the bottom and on the top right, on the right and the left, it's all the waste citrus that they are discarding every year. The samples that we collected from the survey, then they were processed for the isolation of pathogens. The pathogens were purified, then they were tested for their pathogenicity, and I identified the pathogens on the basis of their microscopic features. Now I'll talk about the work that I've done at Iowa State University. I came here with a collection of 102 fungal isolates, and I did PCR amplifications on the basis of internal transcribed region, translation elongation factor, and antibody electronase gene depending upon what kind of genus I was working with. And then we sent them to molecular biology building for their sequencing. As a result of my PCR, I found that there were 5 important genera. 38.4% of them was of Penicillium species, 20.9% was Geotrichum species, and 18.6% was Fusarium species. Going in a little detail about Penicillium species, I did my management trials with Penicillium species. So if I focus on that, I have found 5 different species, and 3 of them were already reported in Pakistan. And out of them, 43.7% was of Penicillium expansum, 21.8% was Penicillium italicum, followed by, and then 25% of Penicillium digitatum. Out of them, Penicillium digitatum, italicum, and Euleans was already reported in Pakistan. I have found 2 new pathogen records that were infecting citrus, including Penicillium expansum and Penicillium citrinum. And I have published a disease note in Plant Disease on Penicillium expansum causing fruit rot of citrus during storage in Pakistan. I'm looking forward to publish one more disease note on Penicillium cyprinum. So now I'll talk about the work that I have done at University of Agriculture Faisalabad. So this is just a picture of my Department of Plant Pathology. Second objective of my research that I've done back in my parent university was to determine if salicylic acid and jasmonic acid both are resistant inducers, so if they can reduce the disease incidence and severity of green and blue mold. For management trials, I have taken two species, Penicillium metallicum and digitatum. I have done all the management with these two species. To test the efficacy of salicylic acid and jasmonic acid to control green and blue mold, I have first prepared the aqueous solutions of both the inducers at 4 different concentrations. For salicylic acid, I have used 1, 2, 3, and 4 millimolars, and for jasmonic acid, I have used 0.5, 1, 1.5, and 2 millimolars. First, I prepared the aqueous solutions, and the fruits were then subjected to dip application in the resistance inducer solutions. After that, the pathogen was inoculated on the surface of the fruit by creating an artificial wound, and 10 microliter of the inoculum was deposited into that wound. The fruits were then incubated at 25 plus minus 1 degree centigrade for 8 days, and after 8 days, I took the data on disease incidence and severity. So as a result of this trial, I found that by increasing the concentration of the resistance inducer, the disease incidence was also decreasing. The disease incidence was decreasing, and the maximum disease incidence was, the lowest disease incidence was observed at 4 millimolar. So it can give you an idea that the increasing concentration had a decreasing effect on disease incidence. Coming toward the third objective of my research. Third objective of my research was to determine if selected plant extracts can reduce the disease incidence and severity of both molds. For that purpose, I've selected 4 plant extracts, plants including Cymbopogon citratus, Syzygium aromaticum, Curcuma longa, and Elitaria cardamom. To test the efficacy of botanical extract, first I prepared the solution of those extracts in ethanol, and then the ethanolic extract solutions were wound deposited in the similar way as I've already told you in the previous trial. In the similar way, by creating an artificial wound on the surface of the fruit, and 10 microliters of the plant extract was deposited into that wound, and after that it was inoculated by the same way, and then the fruits were incubated at 25 plus minus 1 degree centigrade for 8 days. As a result of this, I found 2 plant extracts were quite impressive to control the disease incidence, and they produced the lowest disease incidence, including Cymbopogon citratus and Syzygium aromaticum. Then, these 2 plant extracts were tested in combination with both the resistance inducers. The next trial was to check the combined effect of the two plant extracts that were best in plant extract screening in combination with salicylic acid and jasmonic acid. In that case, I found that Cymbopogon citratus in combination with salicylic acid and jasmonic acid, was produced the lowest disease incidence. If you compare it with infected control, then you can see that combining the resistant inducers with the plant extracts. Moving towards the fourth and last objective of my research, I have determined the post-infection activity of 2 very important defense enzymes that include polyphenol oxidase and peroxidase. To assess the activity of peroxidase and polyphenol oxidase in the fruits, in case of polyphenol oxidase activities, first the samples from the peels of infected and treated and non-treated fruits was taken. It was homogenized in 0.2 molar potassium phosphate buffer. Then it was centrifuged for 15 minutes at 4,000 RPM. Sorry, I just missed the 4. And 1 ml of the supernatant was collected, and it was then mixed with the reaction mixture. In case of POD, the reaction mixture was 5 millimolar of H2O2 with 5 millimolars of guaiacol. And then the reaction mixture was incubated at 40 degrees centigrade for 1 hour. And then I just measured the absorbance on spectrophotometer at 470 nanometers. And in case of polyphenol oxidase activity, all of the reaction was exactly same. Only the difference was in case of reaction mixture. In case of polyphenol oxidase activity, the reaction mixture was 0.2 molars of potassium phosphate buffer and 50 millimolars of catechol and gel acetone. As a result of this, I found that the activity of peroxidase was significantly increased in the treated fruits if you compare it with infected control. And the maximum maximum peroxidase activity was observed in case of Syzygium aromaticum in combination with salicylic acid, and it was quite magnified in case of, if you compare it with infected control. I have also observed similar kind of trend. I'm not discussing about polyphenol oxidase because the trend in case of polyphenol oxidase was exactly same as in peroxidase activity. The activity of polyphenol oxidase was also increased in similar way as the activity of peroxidase. So coming towards the summary of my today's talk, I have concluded that salicylic acid and jasmonic acid can increase the disease suppression in combination with Cymbopogon citratus and Syzygium aromaticum. And I also concluded that there was an increase in polyphenol and peroxidase activity in treated fruits if we compare it with infected control. In the end, I would like to thank Dr. Mark Gleason for giving me an opportunity to come at Iowa State and work in his lab. And I would also like to thank Dr. Shayu Zhang because I came here with zero experience over doing PCR or gel or anything. And I learned everything. She was very supportive and she just taught me everything. So, and I would also like to thank Higher Education Commission of Pakistan for giving me an opportunity to come here and learn. That might be a dream for me to learn ever. Thank you so much. This was all about my talk.
Questions for Anam? How readily available are those control agents in Pakistan to be used by people?
What kind of control agents?
Well, the ones that you talked about, all the acids and the extracts, are they readily available?
They're not available now.
Okay.
But this is what my motive is. I just want to highlight their importance so that we can get rid of the excessive amount of pesticides or chemicals that we are using because they're not friendly to.
So you found out that when you increase the concentration of salicylic acid and jasmonic acid,
Yeah.
you're able to get the pressure against the pathogen.
Yeah.
Do you think that in the field situation, in natural situation, your citrus plants can produce such an high concentration of salicylic acid and jasmonic acid
In
against
field conditions?
pathogen infection?
In field conditions.
Yeah.
Like, are you talking about that can we use these resistant inducers to control the disease in field conditions?
So jasmonic acid and citrus acid is defense, signal molecule.
Defense signal molecules,
Right.
yeah.
So do you think the plants can actually produce such an high concentration in a field condition against these pathogens?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't have it anymore.
Official primers for molecular filtration is species specific or general primers? In which DNA portion did you amplify?
First, we amplified the internal transcript region, and after that, the genera we got. And depending upon those genera, we use translation elongation factor for Fusarium, and for Alternaria, we use endopolyplectronate gene, and we identified it on that basis.
I think for lifestyle, I don't think we can be producing a field, but I think she's
I'm
doing
working with post-harvest.
Yeah, post-harvest control, so maybe she can spray after the harvest. Yeah.
Because all this is about the post-harvest application of the treatments to fruits.
Is any kind of chemical treatments used for post-harvest control in like the U.S., you know, for oranges or?
They're using, in US, as far as I have read, they're using different kinds of chemicals, but those chemicals are not used in Pakistan.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not so readily available.
And you haven't tried comparing with those?
When you talk to the labor personnel or the people who were engaged in the packaging practices, they said we are only using the chlorine
Oh, okay.
to treat the fruits.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were not using anything
In the U.S. or in Pakistan?
in Pakistan.
Okay.
Yeah,
And chlorine doesn't work well enough?
it doesn't work.
In the U.S., the number of synthetic fungicides used on post-harvest has gone down and down and down and down over the last 30 years. And, you know, some industries have nothing left, some have one material. So it's really going to, just because they've been banned from that use.
Yeah.
What are the factors that you think, the possible factors that could predispose the citrus to this kind of post-harvest?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
What are the factors that predisposes, and that probably possible predisposing factors to this post-harvest disease in Pakistan?
Mishandling and improper storage. Mishandling is the most important factor. If
Okay.
you are not handling the fruit well, because penicillium species, they require wounds to cause infection. So if you are mishandling the fruit, it will cause wounds to the fruit, and that will ultimately provide an opportunity to the pathogen to attack and cause infection.
Do you have any idea roughly what proportion of citrus is lost due to post-harvest issues?
When we talked to the factory personnel, they were saying that we are, compared to the past, now 70% of their produce is going towards loss. It's not only because of the post-harvest diseases. There are many other factors. You're also facing insects, climatic factors. You're also facing citrus fruit blemishes, and there are many other kind of factors too. It is one of them. Yeah.
Are there any other unknown fungal pathogens that you might see for your post-harvest detection besides your penicillium species and alternative species? Are there any other unknown?
Geotrichum, I'm going to write disease known on Geotrichum species. We never have ever found any Geotrichum species in Pakistan, so it's going to be the first record. Yeah.
I have a question about
Sure.
your planned extracts. How are you thinking that could be done? So here come the fruit to the packing house.
Yeah.
And could the fruit be dipped in an extract or something, or sprayed on, or sprayed in the feed?
It can be sprayed on and it can be dipped too. Yeah. It can be applied in both ways.
Somebody's future PhD. Other questions?